Hello, I'm Linda Dolke. I'm a demonstrator with Stampin'Up here in Australia, and today we're actually doing a little bit of embossing and then colouring it with our Stampin' Blends. So I uploaded this card to my Instagram account and Facebook account a week or so ago, and you may have seen it, and then today we're going to do it in a different colour. So I hope you like this. It's a very easy card to make and it's a lot of fun. Stick around and I hope you enjoy it. So today's card is actually this one. And you might see, I've noticed my light isn't fabulous today. Hopefully you can see it clearly. It is an embossed card, and I've coloured over the embossing with the Stampin' Blends. And I just want to show you how to do this. It's very simple. And I'm going to do it in a different colour today. I'm actually going to do it in yellow. So here's all my pieces already cut up and ready to go for that. Let's pop that out of the way. And I'm going to use the black piece to actually do my embossing on. I'm using the Flourishing Phrases stamp set. Now this is actually quite a large set. It's a two-part set. One box has the words and the other one, so lots of sentiments, and the other one has these lovely images. And this one is the image I use probably the most, but today I'm actually using this fairly solid flower because I wanted a fairly solid result so that it will work well for this technique. So you probably will be looking more for solid stamps when you want to do this. I'm going to be doing it in yellow. This is Daffodil Delight, and the Stampin' Blends, if you haven't used them before, these are alcohol markers, and they come in combos, or you can buy them singly, but a combo is a light one and a dark one in the same tone. So this is the light and dark Daffodil Delight. And the reason these are great is because not only do they blend beautifully together, but also being alcohol markers, you can use them on almost any surface. So whereas a normal water-based marker you couldn't use on, say, plastic or acetate or those kinds of things, these guys will work on almost anything. So you can use them to colour your embellishments, and you can also use them to colour over embossing, which is what we're doing today. So I'm going to be using white embossing powder, and here's my stamp. You can see I've got that ready to go. I'm using Versamark ink, and for the purpose of the video, normally I would use white just so you could see it better against the black. However, for the purpose of this video, I am using the clear Versamark. My white I didn't think was well enough inked up, ready to go, and I need to actually re-ink that before I can do anything with it. So I'm using my Embossing Buddy, and I'll show you why in just a moment. The only thing with using the Embossing Buddy on black is I do find it leaves a chalky residue. Not a lot. You want to try not to handle your paper too much, so sort of only just hold the very, very edges, because the oils from your hands will actually possibly create a place where the embossing powder may stick where you don't want it to. So handle it as little as you can. So I'm just sort of touching mine around the edges. And then I'm going to go in with my Versamark into my stamp, well, stamp into the Versamark to be more precise. And I'm actually going to start stamping. Now this might be a little hard to see, but you'll get the idea. Alright, doesn't make riveting videoing because I can see it if I have the light just right, but you may not be able to see it. I'll try and hold it up in a moment so you can. See that one a little bit. And I'm just going to do a little bit on the corner here. Alright, I don't know if you can see this. Can you kind of see it? It doesn't matter either way, because once we put it into our embossing powder, you can. I always use a little container when I'm embossing because I just find it easier to work with. I can just pop this in and pour it straight over the top, and I find for me that's the easiest way. Tap off any excess. I'm going to go back the other way, do the rest, and tap off any excess. Sometimes you might just want to very gently tap it from behind. I am actually going to use a little bit more in a couple of places where it hasn't come out as much. That's better. And actually that's looking pretty good. Just down this corner. Alright, the other thing I always keep handy when I'm embossing is a little brush. Alright, so you can have a brush as fine as you want. I'm actually going to put my glasses on. I should have had them on, shouldn't I? So I can actually see what I'm doing. Right, and I'm just going to get rid of these couple of lines made by my stamp. Okay, that's looking pretty good. You think there's any other little bits of powder anywhere you don't want it, just remove it with your brush. And then we're ready to get our heat tool onto this and cook it. So, get these out of the way. So I've done it in white ink. You can see I've got a little bit more of a space here. That's no big deal. The other thing is if there's any bits that you don't like when you finish, that's where you can put your sentiment over the top. So I'll just show you that in a moment. I'm just bringing my heat tool in. This is the Stampin'Up heat tool. These retail in Australia for $50. They have 2 heat settings, a low and a high. And what's cool about it is that it does have this protective plastic bit on the end so that you're less likely to burn yourself, because this metal piece inside, that gets really, really hot. Never ever try and touch that. The whole thing is can be quite hot, so you do need to exercise some caution. And in fact, I like to use a silicone mat too. I'll just move that under here. So that's going to be a good place to put my heat tool when it's done, and it helps protect my surface. So I'm going to just do this quickly. You'll see when the colour starts to change. Doesn't take long. Okay, so now I've got this embossed, it's ready to go, and I can decide which way I want this to go when it's done. But I've got, like I said, a dark and a light one here. Now whether you want to have, you can have it all dark or all light. I'll just show you the difference in the colours. There is a fair bit of difference, so you can just colour straight over these, and you don't even need to be terribly careful, which is the beauty of it. It's quite quick, just going to be going straight over that white embossing very, very lightly. So I'll just do a couple of them in the light colour so you can see the difference. Here's the darker one. You can see that is quite a bit brighter. I like having some of both because I think it does look nice. Okay, so I have some dark and some light. I'm going to do some darker ones here. Whether or not you want to colour in the middle of your pieces, you can colour it in maybe a different colour. I just wanted to keep mine fairly monochrome with just the yellow, but you could colour them in a completely different colour if you wanted. It looks rather fantastic. In fact, I've got another idea in mind for another card. You can see I'm just doing part of these leaves on the outside here. I'm going to come in with my light one and do some light colouring. There's something quite, I don't know, calming about watching somebody else colour. I know this. I did a show recently with a group of wonderful demonstrators out at the Penrith Craft Show, and I did blends, these guys, for the few days that I was there. That was my demonstration technique, and showing lots of different ways to use them and colour with them. And some of the people just stood there and watched, and some of them wanted to have a turn, and some of them were just happy to stand there and watch. They told me they liked to see colouring. It made them feel nice. Alright, so I'm actually going to leave that one white in the middle. You can see I've done that on this first one. The colour I used here was Bermuda Bay, and I left the middles of those ones white. I just thought it looked nice. Looks good in the Bermuda Bay, and I've used both the light and the dark Bermuda Bay in that case as well. So I've got all my, at the moment we have the colours that we currently have. So this is as at March 2018. I have all my warm colours, so the greens and the corals and the yellows, reds, in one case. This is just a full wood stamp case, and then I have the other colours, all the cool colours like pinks and blues and greys. I have those in another one, and it fits between the two cases. I managed to fit them in quite well, and they're great to take to workshops and things like that. So I'm just going to keep going here with this, and I might let you listen to some nice music while I fill this off, because it's a bit boring watching me do this for too long, I think. Okay, there we have our 2 Daffodil Delight Stampin' Blends. I just want to show you what happens if you don't use the embossing buddy. So this is another one I did earlier that I wasn't as happy with, so that's why I've just redone this one. But on the other side, you can see there's actually quite a lot of powder in between. This one I did not use the embossing buddy first. My poor little embossing buddy is getting a bit dirty, but that's what happens to them after a while. They start to get stained. And on the other side you can see I have gone over this one first. Now I actually went over this one quite a bit, and it's ended up being quite a chalky background because of the powder, the talcum that's inside here. Whereas this one I didn't use as much, and you can see it's quite a bit blacker. Okay, if you do like the chalky effect, just keep going with the embossing buddy, tap it out a little bit and get some more chalk on there. If you prefer to have a more stark black look, then you just want to go over it very lightly. You can, if it gets too chalky, go over it with the tiniest little bit of damp on a cloth, and it will also get that off. But just need to be careful, you don't want to actually wet your cardstock. Alright, so let me put this card together. What we're going to do is we're just going to pop this, I'm using it onto a white mat. My original card I did onto a Bermuda Bay mat, and then I did the background colour in Pool Party. This lighter blue is Pool Party. Okay, and then I'm actually going to pop this on dimensionals. Oh, I've only got mini dimensionals, but I actually want some grown-up ones, not just mini ones. And one in the middle, so we don't sag. Oh, 2 in the middle. Oh well, okay. That's fine. This one wanted to bring a friend. Let's get the backs off all these. We're going to position that into the center of our Daffodil Delight piece. Now, it doesn't really matter which way I put this because it makes no difference at all. Okay, so that's ready to go. Which side? I think this side. I don't mind that little bit of space there. I think it looks good. And in fact, I'll put the whole thing onto a piece of Whisper White thick cardstock that I have cut in half to make my card base. You could, and I would normally also sponge around here in Daffodil Delight to actually darken up the edges. That would look quite nice. Just wanted to show you really quickly how I do this little sentiment. Really easy. I'm using some of the Petal Passion DSP, and I've just got a strip here, or just a piece of Whisper White paper. Now this is also from the same Flourishing Phrases stamp set. So I've used this flower, and I'm using this sentiment that says Just a Note. I'm using Memento black, but you could use any black at all. I'm just going to ink that up, and I'm going to position this here, and I've got my strip, and I'm going to actually put a bit of glue behind that. This is actually, when I first did this, I just happened to have a scrap of this paper on the table and thought, oh yeah, I'll use that, and it turned out so nice. I've actually done a few with it since. So then what I would do is I would get my, this is the second smallest of the stitch shape framelits in the circles, and then I would run that through the Big Shot just like that. Okay, so when you bring it out, it comes out like this. Right, and then all I did was I grabbed a little bit of, it's a strip I've cut, little thin strip of gold glimmer paper, run a little bit of snail over the back, position that right along the top, and then we get our scissors, our paper snips, and just cut that off in line with the circle from behind. And that's our little piece ready to go. Now I'm going to position that on there as well. More dimensionals, because I do like cards to have that bit of depth. I just think it's such a nice way to make your cards look special. Okay, and our card is done. Nice and simple. On this one I actually cut a second strip and actually put on the back of the cards, and I did add some little silver sequins as well, but you could do that if you wanted to keep going, or you could just leave it as it is. Looks great. So there you go, 2 different colours, same card basically, but I hope you like it. Shows how easy it is to use your Stampin' Blends on white embossing, and how good it looks. Doesn't it look great? It's a really nice effect. I hope you enjoyed that. I'll be back again with more for you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button just below the video so that you can see when I update. I try and upload every week or so, and I hope you'll be back again to watch more videos soon. Bye.